Welcome back, everybody. This is the second episode of the TrueShot guest spot. Adam and Rich are back. The last one was pretty damn fun. I'm hoping this one's just as fun, and I'm thinking it's going to be. Rich, who do we got on the channel today?
So we got your guy, Mr. Rohan Stevenson from I Built the Sky, the man behind the project, the man himself, the creator, the composer, the nuts and bolts that is I Built the Sky, Rohan Stevenson.
He is the heart and soul.
He is the literal only part, too.
Yeah, so he's a one-man show, and he's got his buddies that back him up. So, yeah, we got a lot of good content in this episode. We go into, his personal stuff, what he's been doing, how he's got to where he is, his gear. We go through quite a bit in this one. So I'm excited to present it.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it as well. I know a guy that's in a band with no vocals, I'm a little, it takes me a little bit out of a job, like I say in the episode, but, I'll give him a pass. He was a nice guy. So without further ado, everybody, we present to you Rohan Stevenson of I Built the Sky.
Enjoy. No, I appreciate you doing this.
Oh man, happy to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah.
I'm Richard.
Yeah, this is Rich. He does vocals in our, I guess you could call it a band.
Sweet.
Yeah.
A project.
A project. Yeah, exactly. So, I hear your dog's barking.
Yeah.
Did they get their
This
carrots?
mic's really good. I've got this mic, picks up everything. So when I record music, I've got to hope that the dogs don't bark and hope that a big truck doesn't go past or something like that. So yeah.
Now, are you in the city?
Nah, I'm about 35 minutes out.
Oh, okay. So you're in your rural area.
Yeah. It's got a small country town kind of vibe where I live. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it.
Nice. So were you and I'm already jumping in, and this has nothing to do with anything I've already pre-planned, but
that's cool.
Your music video, you guys were in the parking lot doing, had some of those cool drone shots and stuff. Was that right in your hometown, or?
Yeah, so that's pretty close into the city. So yeah, but not too far. It's my hometown. Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, just to kind of give you an idea of what we're doing here. So we are a band, a local band here in the U.S. With 3 followers, and no, I'm just kidding. And we started this reaction channel on YouTube as a way to just, Rich is very into the vocals and the marketing aspect of it, and I'm kind of more on the music side of it. So we end up, and Rich was like, he's the idea man, and I just kind of make it happen. So he was like, let's do a reaction channel. We were like, oh, it's a good way to kind of get our band out there and have some fun. So with the coronavirus hitting, and now we're doing all of our recording and stuff, he goes into my garage, and I built a vocal booth in the garage, and I put wires out of the studio into the garage, so we, social distance recording. We've been doing a lot of that. So it's a little different, but the reason why we're doing this is just to have some fun. So we were talking about who do we want to have on here, and I said, I've been into I Built the Sky, I don't know, since 2000. I think I picked up on you on YouTube 2016 maybe, and
all right,
2016, and I was like, I got to see if I can get Rohan on it, because you've been, a Patreon supporter. It's not much, but we support each other.
For sure.
And I love what you do. So I was like, I got to get Rohan on here. So I appreciate you doing it, man.
Oh, no problem, man.
We aim to have our, the 2 guys on that week. So I'm a big fan of the band Demure. So I had their vocalist on, and then Adam went second, and he had you on. So we kind of Yeah, kind of christened the podcast with our inner influences, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, that's an
Um,
honor, man. I'm really stoked to hear that. It's so cool.
Yeah, so
cool.
I mean, I appreciate it. So I do have, obviously did my research on you, and it was actually quite difficult compared to Frankie Palmieri, who's got what 17 years of doing it.
Controversy.
Yeah, of
Oh
controversy,
yeah.
right? So I mean, you search him, and it's like a million things. You search Rohan, and you got all these cool interviews and stuff, all your awesome videos and stuff, but no controversy. So we got a
Yeah,
lot of good stuff to talk about today, right?
for sure. Let's open the can of worms.
All right, man.
All right.
So I did some research and stuff, and I didn't want to ask like the normal questions, right? I kind of our True Shot guest spot is kind of like this video podcast that we're doing now. It's really just to kind of sit down and have a talk, right? So, obviously I've been following your Patreon posts, your personal Facebook stuff. So I'd like to talk about some controversy, and I know you talked about it in your recent podcast, but we've got quite a bit of that too on a level too. So I'm interested to dialogue about that. But I know you started kind of playing guitar because of your dad, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I also started playing because of my dad. What was it about him playing? Did you ever go to like gigs with him and stuff, or what was your relationship between you and him in music?
Yeah, so he performs and plays a little bit of guitar. He knows like maybe, you know, six chords, but he can play like a million songs, you know. So
That's right,
yeah,
right?
he would always perform and all that sort of stuff and always put music on around the house and, so yeah, there was guitars around the house and yeah, I just I don't know, it's just kind of natural. I just sort of it was around me a lot. So yeah, he showed me a few chords and I was really stoked on that and just went from there really.
So a lot of your guitar playing's pretty complex and technical. You do a lot of tapping, a lot of sliding. Like, are you classically trained? Like, did you take, are you a theory guy? Like, how do you, when you look at a guitar, what's your perception of it?
Yeah, so I did actually study music after high school.
Nice.
I learnt guitar in high school all the way through basically. And yeah, I mean, I was just kind of obsessed with it, which is probably pretty obvious, but yeah. So yeah, I just absorbed everything I come across and just, every time I hear a new artist and has a new sort of sound, I sort of am really interested in it and just learn from other artists. And I studied after school. So I was there for like 5 years getting a bachelor's degree in like jazz popular
Nice.
music. So I learned like
Wow.
jazz music, which is kind of weird, but
All
it's a
those
good
weird,
style.
those weird chords, right? Like you gnarl your fingers up.
I think it's like so dense with, you know, like the harmonic and melodic content in jazz music is generally quite dense and, improvisation and all that sort of stuff. So
Yep.
you learn a lot just by learning that style of music, really. So, yeah, I studied that. I mean, I can't play a jazz song to save my life, but I definitely learned a lot of the theory elements behind it and stuff. So,
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah.
That's something that I have a tough time wrapping my head around the theoretical aspect. I'm a big by ear and tab kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm definitely an ear guy. Like, I would consider myself more an ear guy than someone who like knows the fundamental notes of a chord, and
Right.
I don't think of it that way. I'm more thinking of sound and just listening. I think the best thing about the theory stuff is like just putting a name to a sound.
Mm,
mhm.
right.
Yeah, so
I mean,
I got you.
yeah. Did you have something, Rich, you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I wanted to ask him something real quick because I know that Adam is obviously a huge fan of yours. And going into the interview, I kind of brushed up a little bit. I tried to listen to what I could. And obviously, I mean, it's not a secret. There's no vocals in any of your music, which takes me out of a job. I mean,
But
to be honest,
there may be.
But what I was gonna say is, do you feel like without having the vocal element with your music, that it allows you to be a little bit more free with what you want to do musically? Or would it not matter? You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, because you're not having to consider a vocalist's coming in over what you're doing, so you're not having to leave space necessarily. Um, so yeah, the guitar is like the vocalist in a way. Like, so I do a lot of like the rhythmic stuff and the layers, and then I'll have like a you know a riff that's really the focus, or a melody or something like that. So it sort of kind of takes place of the vocal, I suppose.
I gotcha. Yeah, because
But
well,
I
go
do
ahead.
get a
Sorry.
lot of I do get a lot of like vocalists wanting to sing on it. So I think there's there's potentially room with a bit of mucking around with the form and the way that the songs are sort of built. But yeah, I've just been a real fan of the instrumental thing.
Yeah, because I noticed, I heard in one of your interviews, obviously, and I think you can just hear in just listening to your music that you were heavily inspired by Misha from Periphery. And I remember listening to an interview with them where Spencer, I think, had said that he went into the studio, they had all this complex music, and he's like, how am I going to put vocals over this? So that's what made me
Yeah.
think of that question. But Adam, I know you had something to ask, so go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just you say you had some experience with jazz, and I know you were PRS artist for a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Emo Wursler, he's I know he's not known for his, well, he is more now, but he's very big into like the jazz stuff now. Have you had a chance to sit down and play with him and kind of dialogue, or?
I haven't, no, but I have come across what he does. He's absolutely insane guitarist, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't actually had any dialogue with him or anything, though.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I met him. He did a clinic, down this, actually like a mile and a half from me. So that guy's insane. Him and Bosco. Have you met
Bosco?
Bosco?
I don't know Bosco.
Bosco France. He's like Nashville, USA, country.
Okay.
Hillbilly rock. I mean, he can shred too.
Oh, those guys kill it. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's also a PRS artist as well. I know you've now gone to Kiesel, so I have to ask, why the switch?
Sure.
How did that come about?
Yeah. So I mean, I was with PRS for a year, and I was like on their website and everything like that. And PRS was my first endorsement. Which was really exciting,
Right.
I was so excited about it and so stoked on it. And after the year came, I was actually showing someone. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm endorsed by PRS, And this was like after the year went by, and then they like, I went to the website. I'm like, check it out, I'm on the website, and then I wasn't on the website. They took me down.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, okay. I guess that's over then. Okay, cool. So
that's some good customer service right there. It's a good sponsorship.
Yeah. So I emailed like the rep and everything. I'm like, oh, I just wanted to say like, thanks for having me. As an artist, it's been really cool. I really appreciate it. I was so stoked. So, I guess it's over because I'm not on the website and all that sort of stuff. So, I'm like, yeah, thanks, man. Like, appreciate it. And then he's like, oh, dude, you're still endorsed. Like, I'm like, what? I'm like, that's kind of weird. But I'm like, okay, I guess I didn't really understand what that was about, but I'm like, okay, cool. Obviously, PRS are quite a big company, and like, I completely understand, like, because where I was at that time, I was like borderline no one, So I was pretty lucky to even get an endorsement, So I could understand that I'm not really one of their priorities, you know what I mean? So
Right.
But yeah, when I went to NAMM in 2017, I met up with met Kiesel. I was actually recognized by one of the guys that works there named Brandon.
Yep.
Yeah, so he actually used to play in a band called Chon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and when they played in Australia, we supported them. So,
Really?
Oh,
so
cool.
yeah, there was
cool.
between the Buried and Me and Chon that played an Australian tour together. Sorry, that's my dog's going crazy there. Yeah, and we got to open the Melbourne show. So Brandon actually saw our set, and he really enjoyed it. So yeah, when we went to NAMM, Brandon saw us there, and he's like, "Oh, you're that fucking band from Melbourne that we I really liked." And he was like, "Oh, dude, like, what are you doing for guitars?"
Yeah.
And that was like, you know, after the year of with PRS. So I'm like, man, this could be a really good opportunity because, you know, Kiesel were an up and coming company, you know, and I've
Yep.
been following their, you know, Instagram and seeing the amazing, you know, builds that they're doing, and just, you know, I've really been keeping my eye on them because of what they've been doing. And yeah, when Brandon was like stoked on us, and you know, he was trying to, you know, trying to get us in, you know, so
Right.
we had a bit of a conversation there, and they were like, hey, you know, if you want to come in, let's do it, you know. So I figured, you know, that was one of those decisions I had to make, you know. I mean, I could have, you know, stayed with PRS, and you know, who knows, but I just thought at that time, you know, Kiesel would probably be a better fit for both of us, you know. They're an upcoming company, and, you know, I'm an upcoming artist, where the PRS are quite established, and, you know, I don't feel like I could, it's just not as good a match, you know what I mean? And like,
I definitely see that. You know, it makes sense. Even just from the genre of music. I mean, you know, instrumental prog metal, you know, is, I guess, and I'm terrible with classifications. I mean, that's kind of where I would fit you in my head.
sure.
You know, it fits right in. You know, he's got the Andy James, you know, and I think
Yeah.
when, at least, so I got my first Kiesel, and it's, what's really funny about it is it's the same paint job as you, and I bought mine before you got your model. Look at it, it's on the freaking wall.
Oh yeah.
um,
That's the, is
I
that the Cali burst sort of?
Yeah, so that's the
Yeah.
so it's a CM6. Yeah,
Yeah.
Crescent.
Nice.
Yeah. How come you don't go multi-scale? Is there a reason?
I'm just kind of trying to keep it fairly traditional, you know, 6 strings, normal frets.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
So did you go
There's
to the
no,
22 or the 24? Because I know your PRS was a 22, right?
yeah, yeah. I've actually got both. I've got a 24 and a 22.
Nice.
I've got two 24s and a 22. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about. This is great.
I was
know that
waiting for him to say it.
Adam
Yeah.
is in his element, and I'm moving this back and forth. I just wanted to say real quick, I know that Rohan's got dogs barking, I got cats meow. We need Adam with a pig in the background at this point of a full zoo here.
I don't know. You might hear my two dogs running across the ceiling. You can definitely hear them.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So the other question that I had for you, Rohan, was so you know, being in like in a band with a vocalist, and you know you have lyrics and whatnot, so you can naturally kind of go off the lyrics to kind of name songs. What's your process, if there is any, with naming your songs? Or it's just, is it feeling correlated, or is it just like, well, this name sounds cool? Because I know that you did some stuff related to clouds in particular on one of your records. So
Yeah.
I was curious how. Yeah, I think maybe was it 2?
I think it was the first 2, right?
Well, everything before the last album was
The Zenith
all
Rise.
cloud
Yep.
names.
Okay. Yeah. So what goes into naming them? And I know you also had said in one of your interviews that it's important to have a theme. So if you could touch on those two things, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so basically when I started, you know, I was trying to keep the sky and the cloud theme happening. So I was looking at cloud names, and I realized that there was like a shitload of cloud names, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like that could be like a cool sort of concept, like to name the songs like after a cloud that sort of best represents it, you know. So
Sure.
you know, like there's like a cloud that's called cirrus, which is like really very thin and sort of broken up and whatever. So like a really soft song might have that, you know, that as the name,
Cool.
you know, or vice versa. There's like really dense clouds, and that I'd name like a heavy song with a dense sounding cloud, you know. So that worked fucking great for the first like 2 releases, you know. But then I just wanted to sort of progress past that, you know. It gets confusing after a while, you know. You're trying to say songs to your, you know, people you're playing with or whatever, and I can't even remember what name I called, you know. It gets confusing.
Yeah.
So I decided to take it a different sort of way, and I sort of like I definitely name the songs at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
And yeah, so this last one, I've just sort of tried to think of like sky and space related themes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So you're going up the ozone layer progressively. You start with the clouds, and you'll
yeah,
get
exactly, exactly.
cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not the best at it, I'll be honest, but yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I was just curious because, like I said, usually, when you think of a name of a song, it's because maybe that lyric's in the chorus or
Yeah.
it's in
Right.
uniform.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead, Adam.
No. So you went to NAMM this past year, 2019. I know you had been years previous, but you had done some of the video blogs. I didn't have a chance to check them all out yet. But I know you performed. You are a artist for Bare Knuckle Pickups, right? And
Yeah.
I know you performed at their booth this year. From Rich and I's point of view, we go out to shows, we play shows, we get a little nervous. Playing to fans is one thing, but tell me a little bit what went through your head, this past time playing at, NAMM. I mean, you're not just playing for fans, you're playing for other artists, critics.
Yeah,
Tell
you're
me
basically, yeah, you're playing for like people who are better than you, just everywhere you go, there's,
right.
Yeah, it's like I definitely get very nervous, and I'm still trying to work on that and develop that. I mean, I'm getting better for sure, but because you're playing pretty complex music for one, so it's hard.
Right.
It's hard when I'm alone in my studio. It's hard to nail those things, but it's a challenge. It's an absolute challenge, and it actually is. It's part of what makes it really fun as well, because I think that's what really hooks me in with guitar and the music I make and the riffs I make. I'm definitely trying to challenge myself, and that is that's what makes me keep doing it, because it's hard, it's not easy. But yeah, to perform them live is a total challenge, and I was definitely very nervous, especially because it was like the first time performing new songs and that sort of thing. And yeah, you've got all these people, named musicians and all around you, and you're representing a company, so you want to be good, you want to impress them. A lot of pressure, really. So, but I mean, you just got to go for it, and just the more you just try and enjoy it and not stress yourself out, the better the performance is going to be ultimately. So I just try to treat it as a normal gig,
Yep.
Yeah. So speaking,
yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to say, sticking with the kind of the traveling theme, I know that I heard in one of your interviews that, when you play in Australia, it's a little bit easier to get the guys to fill out the band because they're probably friends of yours and people who are around your music often. But coming to the States, I don't have, you've toured the States once, right?
No,
just
yet.
the EU,
No,
right?
not yet. Oh, okay.
I've been trying, man. I've been trying.
All right. Well,
I'm that guy
okay.
that keeps saying, "Come to the U.S."
Come to Brazil.
Yeah.
But so what is going to be the plan though? I mean, for getting people to play when you're going to come to the U.S. eventually. But when you do, how are you? What are you going to do? You're going to put up a Craigslist ad? What are you going to do? I mean, how are you going to find these musicians?
Yeah, so that's one of the things I got to navigate, because it's like my project. It's like not in the traditional way. If you have like 5 members of a band and you go on tour, you're all sort of helping with the costs associated.
Right.
When I play, it's like I'm all the costs come onto me, which is completely fair. But yeah, it gets tricky. So I've got like, it's at this point now that I'm doing international tours and stuff, that it's sort of a bit gray, because I want to have like my main guys that I have locally,
Yeah.
But they've got their own lives, it's not their projects per se, so they've got to do their own thing. Sometimes they're not available, or things like that happen, which is just the nature of it,
I mean, if you give Adam a bag of Doritos and a Sprite, he'll do it. He'll jump on. He'll go with you.
You know how hard, how long it took me to learn the Christmas song with tabs? I mean, come on.
Yeah,
my fingers just don't like to move like that.
Yeah. That's got a few tricky things in it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because because I'm sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, because we just recently had a feature with a guy from Australia, Aiden Holmes from the band Dealer, and used to be an Alpha Wolf, and they recently came over here from Australia, and he was telling me the cost of everything, and I mean that's just absurd. I mean, just to get all the gear over here and people, it's almost you're definitely better off trying to find somebody over here, but of course,
Yeah.
they're not around your music all the time, other
Right.
than them being just people who listen to it, a ton on Spotify or something like that. So I'm curious how you're going to figure that out, and I'm looking forward to how you do.
Well, basically, there's basically like three options. Say you could hire professionals, right? I mean, that's easy enough to do, and I'm sure that they would be fine. Professional musicians, it's completely within them, to be able to perform that kind of stuff. There's no shortage of musicians out there on a professional level that would be fine to do it. So I could consider doing that. I could bring my people over and just pay the costs that it would cost to make happen, and do that. Or I could do a bit of a shout out, like, is there anyone that would be up for doing a tour, and what would it take to make it happen, and look at people's catalog of music that they're doing, and see if they would be suitable to be able to pull it off. But then again, that's a huge risk, because you might not get on, or they might leave mid tour because whatever happens. So that's basically the three options I've got, really. But I'm not even sure what I'm gonna do, but I'll find a way, I mean, worst case scenario is you can play the backing tracks.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say
Right.
you just be a solo guy and just backtrack everything.
I mean, yeah, I saw Andy James a year ago, and he was the only guy on the stage. He played to 100% backing tracks.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a bit lame, but I mean, if it means you get on the tour and you get to go ahead with it, then I'd do that myself.
Yeah.
What happened was we did a Europe UK tour with Monuments in
Yes, that was my next question. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll explain that. This will lead in nicely to that. So one of my musicians back home couldn't do the tour because he took on some work. So I was talking to Mike. Mike was the guy who wanted to get I Built the Sky on that tour, and I'm like, hey, I want to do it, but it's looking like I'll be just solo with backing tracks. I'm like, what do you think? And he's like, yeah, okay, that could work, but just give me a second. I'm going to make a few calls and see if I can get you a band, And he ended up speaking to a friend of his, Andrew Scott, and he's an amazing drummer, and Andrew was super keen to do the tour. So then that happened really quickly, and then Andrew was like, do you have a bass player? And I said, nah, man. And he's like, all right, I'm going to get you a bass player because I know the perfect dude,
Nice.
So, yeah, that just worked out so perfectly. And they had about 3 weeks to prepare a whole set. And they killed it. They nailed it. And it was a beautiful tour. Everything was perfect. The guys were great guys. And it just went so well. So that was one of those magic moments where it just all worked out. Excuse me.
So on that tour, I mean, it was in a European tour. Tell me a little bit about, so I know you use, from a gear perspective, right? So you use, Axe FX. John Brown's a Line 6 guy, right?
Yeah.
From Monuments. Did you guys have a tone war or anything like that? Or, he didn't try to sell you on heading over to Line 6 Helix or anything? Or?
No, he just, he would just talk about gear a little bit here and there, but no, we didn't fight each other about our tones or anything like that. He's definitely, of the people that are an authority on tone, like John Brown is definitely, one of the main guys for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's got a good relationship with his name's Frank Rochette. He's the one of the higher ups on Line 6, and he actually lives like 15 minutes from me.
Cool.
Frank Rochette. So yeah, when Monuments was actually supposed to do a tour around here, it got postponed, unfortunately. So I was looking forward to meeting John and talking gear, because I'm a Line 6 Helix user. Sorry.
Sure. Yeah. No. No.
It's all good, right?
They,
They all have their good pieces and bad pieces. You know, the Kemper and all that kind of stuff. So.
I mean, I'm not really not the biggest gear guy. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I love great guitars and I love great gear. Don't get me wrong, but like, I'm not gonna beat up someone if they use Line 6 and I use
no,
Fractal.
I know
you
that. Watch out.
But the extent of my gear knowledge is wireless microphone, wired microphone,
and then he
yeah.
goes, Adam, can you hook it up for me?
Yeah,
That
that's
sounds
it.
great.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm not that intelligent. You know, I yell, I scream. You know, that's all I can do. But as Adam said to you at the beginning of this, you know, I'm really kind of into the marketing aspect of it, and I think you're a good guy to talk to about this because not only are you independent, but you're by yourself. I know that you self-produce a lot of your stuff as well. So can you talk a little bit about your kind of like you know, not without giving away all the secrets or anything like that, but like how you market, or is there certain things that you do that that other independent artists could probably you know learn from?
Well, I think the most important thing for marketing is having good product.
Yeah.
When you've got like good product, that you know the marketing takes care of itself because people enjoy it and people tell people. You know.
Right.
I think that's like, you know, without sounding cocky, but like that's probably the
No,
biggest,
that's true.
that's the biggest thing that's helped me because I've gone that extra effort to make, you know, the best songs I could possibly make. You know, I take my time, I make sure I really get the best out of it. Like I don't feel like I'm like a better musician or songwriter than anyone, but I definitely I spend the time it takes and to really get the best out of the song. So I'm always putting out a fairly well produced song, you know what I mean, or an album or whatever, because I really go the extra mile to make that happen, you know. I think that, and every time I release something, I'm always like, okay, I can't release something until it's better than the last thing. So I'm constantly raising the bar, like from my perspective. So
Yeah, because go ahead.
yeah, so I think that's the main thing, you know. And then the other thing is just being consistent and being out there, being visual, being vocal, sharing and promoting yourself. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was gonna say, because right now as a solo guy, because you know, like Adam talked about with us with the coronavirus, trying to like do like these makeshift social distancing booths and all that stuff. I mean, you're by yourself, so this is, I mean, not that it's you know taking advantage of it, but it is what it is, right? You're by yourself. This is a really good opportunity for you to you know make some more content. Do you feel like that? Do you feel that way as well, or are you kind of
Yeah.
you know same kind of trajectory, sticking to the same game plan, or are you like, all right, this is a really good opportunity for somebody in my position to release more content?
Yeah, exactly. Well, initially this year was supposed to be like all about playing tours and shows and
Yeah.
getting out there and performing because I've just kind of released an album, so I was hoping to be
Yeah.
performing and more so. But yeah, now that obviously you can't, I'm just trying to work on music and just all the other stuff, which is completely fine because I love doing that too. But yeah, I've been working on music and writing a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that you also have a Patreon as well, and Adam and I have kind of talked about us starting our own Patreon. So what is because obviously the at face value of Patreon sounds really awesome, right? You offer these different tiers, people give you the money for it, but like go into a little bit about you know being you know using Patreon on a you know a larger kind of scale. I mean, I know that you have quite a few you know patrons. I think that's what you would call them. So what is something about Patreon? Like, is it a lot of work? You know, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I really love Patreon. I'm really trying to work hard and getting, you know, producing better content specifically for Patreon. I think it's a really cool thing for, you know, people that really want to go that extra mile to support you and are really interested in you to that extent where they want to support you directly through something like Patreon. So I want to really, you know, offer something great to those people. And I mean, it's a little bit of work to set up because you got to take the time to really figure out what can I offer, what's going to be within my means on that regular
Right.
monthly basis sort of thing. So that probably takes the most time, is trying to create some tiers that you know you can manage, because I think that's what happens sometimes. People get over their head a little bit, and then
Yeah.
they don't provide what they say they're going to provide, and then that doesn't look good, you know.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing, is trying to figure out what you can offer and that you're happy to do. I mean, this becomes a big part of your job, really, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but so what I've tried to integrate it with is like, okay, so I'm doing monthly videos at $1 a month. And you know, I'm basing those videos around what I'm doing anyway, you know. So if I'm like going on tour, I'm filming, you know, where I can, and trying to document things, and get content around that tour. Like I did a podcast with Ollie while I was on tour. So that was one of the things I offered on my Patreon, because I do podcasts and stuff. And
Oh, nice.
I did a rig rundown with John. So that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's a really cool thing. And yeah, just behind the scenes of a tour and all that sort of stuff. And when I went to NAMM, I captured, you know, lots of video around NAMM. If I'm going to record a song or something like that, I could make a video around that. So I'm sort of integrating it with what I am doing anyway, you know.
Yeah, because
So
I
I
think
think,
oh, go ahead. Sorry, man.
yeah, so I think that sort of helps if you can keep it alongside what you're doing.
Yeah, because it's amazing, like what people would want to, like watch. Because I mean, I've thought about some things that for our Patreon in the future. I'm like, I don't know if anybody would really care about that, but it's amazing that like people will care about what they care about, and I think that like you said, providing that content that you can obviously deliver on, because that's definitely very important. I've been subscribed to Patreons where they don't deliver, and it's like, guys, like, come on, like I paid you the money, you can at least deliver for me. But
Yeah, totally.
yeah, so like kind of one of the other things, kind of just a quick little fun question here, but like what? Okay, what's going on in Australia? Okay, I mean you got you, very talented musician, and obviously the metalcore stuff, Dealer, Alpha Wolf, Amity Affliction, all this. I mean, so are we only seeing the good bands? Is there a bunch of just terrible bands that we're not
I mean,
hearing
everything that
about?
comes
'Cause
out of there is
everything
just,
I
I
hear
mean,
from there is just
fire.
like,
And I don't mean
yeah,
that. I mean, I
I
say
don't mean
that
that for
loosely because I
Australia.
know you
Well,
guys had some
yeah.
fire issues, but still.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you know, actually, I don't know either, man. Like, I feel like there is so much talent in Australia. I mean,
Yeah.
I will like just go to a random gig, or with a friend or something like that, and like all the bands are amazing. Like, I honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, I'm like dull to it because I'm here and I'm just around it. But I don't know. I just think we've got we've got a fairly high standard, I guess.
All right. So yeah, well, so who are some Australian bands that maybe people have already heard of, but that they may have not have heard of, that you would like to plug here real quick? Because if it's Australia, man, you got my attention.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got guys like James Norbert Avani, who's a guitarist. He does like sort of more fusion guitar sort of stuff, but
Okay.
he's an incredible guitarist, phenomenal, and he's working on a new album that he's releasing soon, I believe. So that's someone to check out, James Norbert Avani. You've got Jake Howsam Lowe, who plays for Pliny.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
Okay.
everyone knows Pliny, hopefully. But Jake is also very talented in his own right, and he's got a band called the Helix Nebula,
Yes.
and very amazing shred guitar, insane stuff. Steven Taranto is the other guitarist in that band, and he is blowing people away with what he's doing on
He's
his
got the
Instagram
Abasi. He's
page.
got an Abasi, man. I mean, he's just like
Yeah,
shredding that thing every day.
I see people like Joe Satriani commenting on his posts.
Yeah,
You
it's,
know,
it's
Oh
just
wow.
crazy.
Okay.
like people like that, and more. Like, it's insane, but and completely well deserved. So if you haven't heard of Steven Taranto, Stephen Taranto, Taranto, definitely check him out. He'll blow you away. He'll make you want to quit guitar, I'm sure. But hopefully inspires you. I think that's more important to take out of someone like that.
Yeah,
Um,
he was featured on one of your songs off the Sky's Not the Limit, right? I think it was the second
yeah,
track.
yeah. He was on a song called Radiatus. Yeah.
Yes, Radiatus. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's still one of my favorite solos
Yeah,
that
that song's
that's done.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an amazing guitarist. You got bands like Voyager from Perth. They do really cool stuff. Trying to think of the more lesser known ones. I mean, there's tons. Do you know guys know Make Them Suffer?
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
we just
I love.
so we found I found them on the our
Yeah,
own reaction channel when we did a reaction, and like they're incredible.
they're really good. Who else? I mean, I'm on the spot, but
No,
It's
I
hard.
know.
No, it's all right. It's hard to think. I same thing.
there is so many, and it's really cool. Oh yeah, the Omnific.
I've heard that name.
I
I've heard
haven't
the
heard of
name.
them. Yeah.
So the Omnific are two bass players and a drummer. No
Really
vocals. It's
Interesting.
really cool stuff. Really cool stuff.
interesting. All right, two
Yeah.
bass players and a drummer. No vocals. No. Wow. Huh,
Yeah,
that's
it's
interesting.
great. They're doing really cool stuff. They've toured Europe and stuff. Yeah, doing really well.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
rad. So I got one. So I know that right before the Zenith Rise, which is your latest album, you
Yeah.
basically quit your day job and said,
very nice.
"Eff it,
Let's
I'm
give a
doing
round of
this full
applause.
time." So I know
Yeah.
I in the last video you had her in, you have I don't know if it's your girlfriend or your fiance or your wife or um, I- I'm assuming she's still there.
Possibly my wife, yeah.
Okay. Well, she was in the Merry Christmas video with the dogs and stuff, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
it. That's my
so
wife.
I'm married. I have two kids. You got
Great.
two. You have two dogs.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine telling my wife, even if I didn't have the kids, listen, I'm
I
quitting my
think you
job,
should.
dear.
Yeah.
I know you think I should, but I mean, how did that go? Can you tell me a little bit about the decision making process and what were some of the markers that made you say it's time?
Yeah, okay, cool. So I've been teaching at a school for 7 years before I left. So
Well,
it's quite difficult because if you like we've got a mortgage, we're paying off a house and everything like that. So and as your life goes on, you get into a job, it gets harder and harder to do this kind of thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I've always been so passionate about what I do. Um, and like probably an unhealthy amount of passion and enthusiasm for what I do. So I'm constantly making music. I'm constantly releasing music. I've got a really, really high, like, what's the word? Quality control from
Mm-hmm.
what I release. So I've seen over those 7 years that more people are finding out about it, more people are sharing it, and just getting constant great feedback. And I can see the numbers growing and that sort of thing. As I'm going up in my teaching, I'm hating it more and more, because I feel like it's just
Right.
not really what I feel like I should be doing with my life. Like I've been wanting to be since I started playing guitar, like I'm going to be a fucking touring artist. And it's kind of unrealistic, but I just couldn't let it go. And I've just been so obsessed with music, and I think that has just in itself been able to open doors for me because I'm unrelenting, constantly releasing stuff and trying to improve and trying to improve every time. And yeah, I can see the numbers going up. And when I was like in my 7th year of teaching, I was very depressed. I mean, I was, I could just, it just wasn't the right fit. And it was starting to get to me really badly. And along this lines, I'm coming up with like my best material. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking like, I'm like, this is, if it is ever a chance, like this has got to be it. So I decided at that point where I was in my life, I'm like, I don't care if I'm gonna be fucking homeless. I don't care anymore.
there you go.
I'm going for it because this is not the life I'm supposed to be leading. You know what I mean? So I just told my work like, hey, I'm gonna take some personal leave, and figure myself out. And it was very quick. Basically, they were none the wiser until the next day when I'm just not there. I've been consistent for 7 years. I've been a pretty good
Right.
worker and all that sort of stuff. And nothing against the job. It's just wasn't the right fit for me. So yeah, then I just full on with music, and all the time when I'm working, all I'm thinking about is like music. You know what I mean? Like,
That's so true.
and all the behind the scenes stuff, like, okay, what kind of video clip can I make next? And I'm planning video clips, and I started being less and less productive for the school than I should have been. It all wasn't making sense. And I was constantly thinking about, what would my future self be thinking to do, in this situation. Like, sure, it's kind of a crazy idea to pursue random instrumental guitar music. It's not a popular thing, but
Niche market,
but
right?
but yeah, exactly. But yeah, I just got to that point where, like, okay, I feel like I'm coming up with my best stuff, and I can't stand to be where I am anymore. So it just made sense to just make that switch and cross over. So I just fucking went for it, and now I'm so glad I did, because I've even since then, like, things have just, it's like the snowball effect.
Mm.
It gathers snow twice as much and twice as much and twice as much.
Yeah.
So the leaps, like when you're starting off, the improvements you get, it's gradual. But then you start to get that rise, and then it's a bigger rise and a bigger rise. So
It's almost like an investment, right? So, investing $1 and getting, 10%. Oh, I'm getting 10 cents, right? And then once you hit that,
yeah,
I got $1 million and 10% of that is $100,000, right? That it starts,
yeah,
So that's awesome, man. I that was one of the main questions that I wanted to ask you, because I think that's what I think you're in, and this is my personal opinion. I think you're in kind of that middle ground. You're not a local regional guy. You're an international, traveling musician in a niche market. And, how do you know, at this point, how do you know you're successful? So how do you manage that in your head right now? You've made this leap. Is it, dollars? Is it followers? Is it personal satisfaction? Like, how do you define success at this point?
yeah. I think for your own sanity, it's got to be self-satisfaction. Because
Yeah.
if you're chasing, like, I've got to have 100,000 followers. If I get 100,000 followers, I've made it. You know what I mean? But when you get to 100,000 followers,
It's 150.
all you're going to be thinking is like, okay, 500,000 followers. It's just 500,000. You're never
Yeah.
gonna you're
Yeah.
never gonna get to it. You know what I mean? So I think it's dangerous to be thinking of success like that. I think for me, success is, am I happy with this song that I've made? That's all I'm thinking about. I can't be thinking about the album, or I can't be thinking about. I'm just thinking about the song. It just starts off, okay, this is got to be. I'm going to be really stoked on this riff, and then it's, okay, these two sections together. Okay, I've got to be stoked on that. Okay, these three sections together. Okay, now it's a song. All right, you know what I mean. You just
Yep.
take it like that. But yes, self-satisfaction, I think, is the most important thing. I'm never going to be a big deal musician. I'm never going to be a rich living in a mansion. I'm never going to have all of these things that most people would attribute to success. But I get to make music.
Yep.
Yep.
That's my priority. I'm already that is already. I'm fucking stoked.
That's awesome.
Because how much do you really need to live? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, and another thing to really consider is, like, okay, well, what's my lifestyle? Can I scale things back in order to make it happen for me? I was, like, seriously thinking, like, fuck it, I'm gonna like, those people that live in, like, those houses on wheels and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
minimalism.
Mini house.
Like this, so when I was, like, about 5 years into my job, so I could see, okay, there's a little bit of, like, glimmer, but there's just not enough to mean I could do it full time. So I'm like, fuck it. Like, I'll fucking live in one of these, like, tiny houses. Like, fuck it. If it means I can, like, make music, like, fuck it. I'll just do that. Like, all I need is some fucking electricity. I could make it happen. But luckily it didn't get to that stage. But I can't I can't lie and say I wasn't thinking about doing that at some point, you know. So yeah, that's definitely an option.
So I was gonna say, I mean, not even blowing smoke, but that's very inspiring. And
It
also,
is.
I'm gonna cut that clip out. You can send that to your wife Emily, so you just be like, hey, listen, I'm thinking about doing this myself.
Oh,
You're gonna give her a
you're saying
test.
I'm gonna send it to my wife?
Yeah, you're gonna give her a little
Oh,
testimonial there that it can be done.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
We'd have to
but
scale back quite a bit.
but I was gonna say, Rohan. So making that leap to doing it full time. I mean, without getting too much into it, I'm just curious from the music. You being a professional musician, your revenue streams. Obviously, we know you have the Patreon and the streaming. But is there other things that you do, like lessons still that kind of supplement the income, or I'm just curious of how you kind of make it all work because I know it's a tough.
Yeah, so basically, like streaming is the biggest one. So I've got like TuneCore, which distributes to every streaming service.
Yeah.
I've also got YouTube, so I get money from YouTube. I get money from all the other streaming stuff via TuneCore. I've got Patreon. I'll get the occasional people wanting guest solos and things like that.
That's cool.
I sell merch and that sort of stuff as well on my Bandcamp, so I'll get people will buy merch or they'll buy like the download of the music. So if you want to buy a download of the music, you've got to go to Bandcamp to do that. Okay. So I get people buying like my whole discography and stuff like that. So I get
That's cool.
Yeah, and then I mean merch is probably not a great earner honestly because it ends up really becoming not that much money that I make out of merch unless it's something like tabs. Tabs is a good one because it's a digital thing. So people pay for the tabs and then they just get a download link,
Because I think you have a kind of a different kind of fan base, I would say, because I like like because like I said, one of my favorite bands is Amure. I mean, nobody's paying for their tabs. I mean, let's be honest.
Sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean. They're gonna want like that really outlandish T-shirt or something like that. But for you and the tabs, that would be definitely something I could see why. But also, Rohan, if you want to make an extra $500, you can just make a Patreon tier named after Adam, and I guarantee he'll throw down the money for it. So there you go. There's just another money.
Yeah, you're taking money out of my Kiesel budget here. I gotta get another build.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, what other revenues? I mean, there's also this thing called APRA, which is like you can collect royalties for broadcasts and stuff like that locally.
Oh, cool.
And I get fuck all out of that, but I get a tiny little bit.
Something.
I'm trying to. I've actually got a record store in Japan wants to license the album off me as well, so I would get a percentage of the sales through that as well. And there's licensing things and I'm trying to look into that sort of stuff actually.
Yeah, because what I was going to ask is, like I said before, you're independent. So I think this is a really interesting time for musicians, and Adam and I have talked about this. Being, obviously an unsigned band. What is because especially today, like you said, with TuneCore, there's so many things that artists, us in being independent, that we can do on our own. I mean, so what is something that you would need from a record label for you to make that jump from being independent, where you can, control everything, to, giving up a lot of control to them? What are some things that a record label would need to offer you at this point?
Wasn't this a dilemma you had over I don't know, maybe a year ago? You had an opportunity. I mean, that's a good segue, Rich.
Yeah. I have actually been offered 2 contracts from some pretty established record labels, which is exciting. And I was at a point where I was like considering it for sure because, I mean, the thing about that is you're most likely wanting to sign with a label if you're not the kind of guy who's so hands-on. If I'm like, all right, I don't know about marketing, I don't know about making, merch and all that sort of stuff. You would more likely go to a label. They're going to take care of all of that stuff. They've got publicists. They're going to get you in magazines and they're going to get you in this and that. They're going to promote your album and, they've got a network of followers of their label. So every time you release something, that goes out to their network. So, that, which is probably, thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So you get sales there. I mean, you're very passive. You're very passive in that point. You're not really doing as much. But for someone like me who's like obsessed with, I want to know everything about everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't make sense for me to sign that over and make less money. You know, I feel like if I had have signed, I'd still be working now for sure.
Yeah, so that's the tough part. I mean, pretty much it would come down to a kind of like I don't mean it like in a bad way, like control, but control and also monetarily, like you would have to be that a nice balance in your favor for you to sign with a label. I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah. I think also if you're with a band, typically what is in the metal or this kind of music, I suppose, you're not really doing it full time for the most part. Even some of my favorite artists work some other job.
Yeah.
So in that case, it's like they're busy. They've got shit. They've got to focus on that. They just can't commit the time that you would really need in order to benefit your profile and your music. So, yeah. But yeah, I don't know if I answered your question.
No, because I mean, you've been at it for what, 8 years at this point now?
Yeah.
So you're kind of like the 8-year overnight success. So there you go. But
Exactly.
yeah, because I mean, obviously, all the time that you put in before, and now it's kind of paying off. So I think that's great that you're able to do it, as your full-time gig. I mean, because that's actually, because I went to college and whatnot. I have a degree in journalism. I dabbled with law school. I thought about being a dentist, and now I'm doing like some finance stuff. And I'm like, man, like none of this stuff clicks for me. And I just love the music. I just need to get this schmuck on board for us to go put a down payment on a Mercedes Sprinter van and hit the road.
I would love to do.
You know what I reckon? I reckon you should just set goals. Set small goals. Maybe you can get 4 days a week at your job. And then that 5th day you can dedicate to like, all right, figuring out your marketing and or whatever it is. Dedicate it to your music and stuff like that. And then just slowly keep switching it your amount of time in your working days and stuff like that into your project, I suppose. But you just got to set goals and start small and just realize it's not an overnight thing.
Yeah, because I mean, hopefully nobody from my work's listening, so I'll whisper here. But I really don't try that hard. I kind of just get through the day.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Listen, I think we can all agree, right? I mean, Ro coming out of working the full-time job, now doing music full-time. Listen, I would do it in a heartbeat. It's a big jump. It's
scary.
Yeah.
It is scary. Like, I mean, I'm still like, I could be homeless in 6 months. Who knows?
Well, because I'm sure there's a lot of, the Australian dollar is, I mean, the American to Australia. Maybe we should move there, Adam. That's the answer to all of our problems. We just take all of our American savings, move to Australia, and we're good.
So instead of $5, I'd have $6.35.
Actually, I think it'd be quite, yeah.
Actually, that is a good point, actually, because a lot of my, people that buy my music and merch and stream and that, it's in US currency, which is like 0.65 of an Australian dollar.
Yeah,
right.
So
I get a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. Helpful.
Right.
Which is that's really helpful. Because like I said, I remember like when we did our feature spot, and I remember just obviously paying for the feature and just seeing the what is it? The
conversion rate.
Conversion rate. Yeah. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's taking me for a ride in Australia. But
oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, man. So no, I think that's really cool, and because I mean, there's a lot of volatility with being that Patreon. People's cancel or their cards get declined or something like that, and it's a lot of volatility. So your income's going up and all over the place. But yeah, no, going back to the record label thing, I'm a guy who you can ask Adam. I'm like literally obsessed with the marketing aspect of it. Like I can't get enough of it. So I'd be like, what are we doing with this? What are we doing with that? But
I would definitely not sign then. You don't want to.
Yeah, but Yeah, Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, so we're coming up to the hour mark. You know, we like to keep it around an hour. You
Yeah,
know,
cool.
but you know, you've put out now 2 acoustic tracks with Tim and Rachel, Tim McMillan and Rachel Snow, I think it is.
Yeah.
You know, another, you know, Tim does acoustic guitars, Rachel does the violin. You don't know this about me, but my grandfather played violin, and I'm obsessed with it. I love anything violin, you know,
Oh, cool.
orchestral. I love it. So that was, you know, that was really A, cool to see, and B, was fantastic. Can you tell me a little bit about, you know, what made you say, you know, hey, let's do this? Because you know, electric guitar tapping, you know, shredding it, and then you take that to an acoustic guitar. I don't care what you use for strings on acoustic guitar. I mean, to do that stuff sustainably is tough. So, you know, what made
Yeah.
you make the switch and do it?
Well, I mean, I've always played acoustic guitar, and I really appreciate acoustic music. I love listening to acoustic artists and stuff like that. Um, it's definitely a massive challenge, and even I'm not really that good at it. Like I do things that kind of deceptive, like open tunings. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you
Yep.
put an acoustic guitar in open tuning, I mean, anything sounds great. You know, like
Right, right.
pretty much. You know, so I tend to do that kind of thing. Tim actually is amazing. Like he does all the tapping and
Yeah, I love
far
it. That's cool.
far beyond anything I can do. So yeah, we just became aware of each other just via internet and all that stuff. And he was you know, he really appreciated my music and vice versa. And yeah, we just decided let's try doing something together, and it just worked out really well. Actually, when we first did the first song together, that actually did really, really well in like views on Facebook and stuff like that. So we were like, oh, okay, cool. It actually did beyond any of my like metal stuff, you know. So
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, fair enough. Let's do more of this then, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think it's, you know, either is better. I think it's just, you know, when you look at, you know, the niche market of what you typically do, right? Plus that, I mean, that's just more easily digestible for somebody who doesn't like distortion. You know what I mean? I could
yeah,
have my
of
mom listen to that.
course.
She'd be like, "Oh, it's beautiful," you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you know, you got the metalheads like, you know, going, "Oh, that is beautiful."
yeah.
And then you know,
Yeah,
let me turn on some Translucidious here. You know what I mean? So it's, you know,
yeah.
it's cool. I mean, no, I thought that was really good, and I think it showed a different side of, you know, I built the sky. You know what I mean? It just
Mhm.
still had your flavor in there, which I thought was really cool how you guys did that. But you know, it was I thought it was pretty unique. So I dug that. I dug that.
I
Thank
don't.
you.
I'd also like to say, Rohan, this guy cannot remember names to save his life, but
I can't.
he's just rattled off like 80, like everything that you've done, he knows the name to. So I would consider that a very big compliment, to be honest. Is
Wow, yeah.
this guy can't
That's
remember any names,
I,
and
I
not. I mean,
barely
seriously.
remember the lyrics to what I'm supposed to sing while we're playing shows. He's like,
well, yeah.
you changed the lyrics, Adam, and I'm like, same melody line. Who cares? No one listens to lyrics anyways.
That's very
Oh
disrespectful.
man. Well,
But
yeah. That's very cool. I'm honored and flattered. Thank you, man.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you doing this. You know, anything that that you think we
well,
missed? Oh, you
before he
got
gets
more?
out, I had two things real quick. So
Okay.
number one,
Okay.
uh, so dealing with the coronavirus over in Australia, how is because I know Australia is a small country and you can't exactly drive there. So is it pretty contained at this point? Is everything kind of back to normal over there? How's everything going over there?
Yeah, so I think we're about to lift our restrictions tonight, actually. So
So you're
we can
fully
have
opening?
no, not
Oh.
fully, but we can do things like have 10 people in a same area and stuff. Um, just little things like not fully open up, but yeah, I think our infection rate is really, really low compared to most other countries.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I think
we're
it's
getting hit.
even under 100, you know,
Oh wow.
something
Yeah,
like
no
that.
no one beats the US. We're going to get more infected than anybody.
Oh man,
Well,
let's hope
because
that's not true.
we need an Australian correspondent here that we can go to for various news updates and
Yeah.
different myths. Because one of them, and I want to end it on this is a very intense question. So I hope you're ready for this one. But
Cool.
Adam tried to tell me that the toilet water just goes down. Is that true?
No, no, no. I
Just
said
goes
it
down.
spins in the opposite
Oh, it
direction. It
spins
goes
in the opposite direction. Is that
counterclockwise.
true? Is that
It
true?
actually doesn't spin at all. It just kind of goes down. Yeah.
Really? It doesn't spin at all?
Yeah, you know what I find interesting in American toilets? There's so much water. That's what you will notice in Australian toilets. There's only a tiny bit of water at the bottom, but in America you've got like a fucking massive bowl of water.
We got a lake in there.
Yeah, which is really weird for me personally.
See, it's that kind of slander that Adam has toward your great country of Australia, which is why we need an Australian correspondent to refute these different myths.
Yeah, well, you got one now, so that's it.
Woo!
Perfect. We'll get you to chime in on whatever Australian facts we come across just to confirm. But all right, man. So Adam, you got anything else you want to ask this guy before we head out of here?
I mean, I could sit here and chat with him, all night for us and all day for him. But I will continue to follow you on Patreon and bug you on there.
Yeah,
and
sweet.
Keep up the good work on the podcast. I love that stuff. I know you get a lot of good interaction and stuff. So I did like the one. I know you were asking about, you actually, walk to the store, walked your dog and stuff like that. I thought that was a cool way to do it. A little different,
Yeah.
So
I enjoy doing it that way for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So plug away, Rohan. Where can we find you? Social media. I know that you obviously plugged a bunch of it already, but talking about the different marketing aspects and whatnot. But go ahead. Floor is yours.
Yeah. So I've got a YouTube channel which is just / I Built the Sky. That's got all my music videos and different things like that, and guitar unboxings and various things. Instagram, I post on there pretty much every day. Lots of tour photos and merch stuff and etc. etc. The occasional dogs eating carrots on the stories, which is very popular. Facebook / I Built the Sky, and you could pretty much just Google I Built the Sky and find most things. So, yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it, guys. That was Rohan Stevenson from I Built the Sky. And again, man, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And have a good
thanks
rest
so much
of
for
the
having
day.
me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Take care.
All right.